Number 9. The taming power. One more step in the process of correcting the situation has been completed. The central image of this hexagram is that the strong element being temporarily held in leash by the weak line in the fourth place. The minister by nature of this position lacks the authority and the strength to subdue the strong elements once and for all. Yet he may, by firm determination within the gentleness and adaptability, continue to have a restraining influence. In practical terms, this hexagram indicates that our influence is limited by the circumstances. Other people are beginning to understand our firmness of character and respect our way of life, but not enough to permanently correct their way of relating to us. We've made progress only to the point that the other person's insolence is restrained. Therefore, we should not presume all problems are resolved. Until relations are firmly and fundamentally corrected, we need to remain reserved and cautious, retaining a sense of careful responsibility to do what is right. The temptation always exists to abandon self-discipline, particularly after small victories. Our inferiors ask, "How may I relax? And must I still pay attention?" Be circumspect, responsible. And when am I going to be able to enjoy myself? We should also avoid ambition to make progress. Not only is a final victory impossible now, but ambition would exert a negative pressure. The presence of ambition indicates that we do not yet trust the path of non-action or the power of clinging to the truth to change the situation. This doubt, which is subconsciously perceived by others, inhibits our having a good effect. We need to rest content with the small gains achieved, modestly accepting the slow way in which nature works, gives others the space they need to discover where their path lies, and their self-interest in following it. Changing line number 1. Return to the way. Good fortune negatively involved in the problem when we adopt an either or attitude to force a change in our fate. This also happens when we relapse into negation and alienation through impatience, because there is no visible progress. Impatience, which springs from desire and doubt, indicates our ego's attempt to dominate the situation, an effort that is doomed to failure. We should conscientiously return to the path of humility and acceptance, and to dispersing alienation and negation. Changing line number 2. He allows himself to be drawn into returning good fortune. We may have begun to waver about what we inwardly know to be true, so that we are tempted to abandon the correct way to make progress. Sometimes it is as if we threaten the sage, saying that if we are not helped to achieve our goals, we will discard his guidance. Such a threat inevitably comes to nothing, and in making it, we merely jeopardize our personality and engage our pride. In spite of feeling humiliated, we should allow ourselves to be drawn back from this thinking and return to the path of perseverance. We often receive this line and the preceding line just prior to the situation that will draw out such feelings in us. This preparation helps to give us the strength we need to keep from being dominated by our enemies. Changing line number 3. The spokes burst out of the wagon wheel. Man and wife roll their eyes. This image symbolizes our inner attitude has collapsed into alienation and impatience, and therefore has lost its integrity and usefulness. Our situation falls apart when we abandon patient waiting, or when we bring controversial matters up rather than allowing them to arise spontaneously. We rush things when we become afraid that the right time may not occur soon enough. Under the influence of fear, negation, and desire, we are unable to attain the objectivity we need to find the right solution. Without the right solution, things turn out badly, and we have regrets. Pressing forward forcibly means that we try under the influence of negative and alienated feelings to force progress. By threatening to drop our task to rescue others. This ploy by our ego does not work. We cannot steal happiness by challenging fate. Fate does not respond to threats. Pressing forward forcibly also refers to times when we try to assert our inner worth by taking a stand based on our inner sense of truth. In making this effort, our ego has intercepted our sense of truth in an attempt to rule forcibly rather than to allow people to perceive the truth for themselves. The superior man simply relies on his sense of inner truth to convey inner messages. If the injustice is such that he knows a correction is needed, he relies on the cosmos to provide the correction. Because he is free of doubt, he activates the power of truth to rectify the problem. Power lies with the weak. True power in declaring, true power in dealing with the obstinate power of the ego, or for that matter, with fate, is in letting go, not in trying to make points or engaging in arguments or in striving to overcome the situation. True power lies in reticence, tranquility, and detachment. Changing line number 4. If you are sincere, blood vanishes, and fear gives way to no blame. 3 interpretations are given. First, although we may not like some of the lines we get in the I Ching, they are given sincerely in the spirit of helpfulness, despite the danger that we may despise him for it. The sage offers this advice. Second, we are in a responsible position, giving example of the way of the sage to others. We must do what is correct, disengaging from the challenges laid down by others' ego. We must do what is correct, disengaging from the challenges laid down by other people's egos and letting them go, even though our actions will be misunderstood. In the end, because we are true to our principles, we achieve the correct effect. To live correctly is to mediate the message of our leader to others. Third, if we are sincere in our path, we will not resort to wrong means. In retreating from wrong means, blood vanishes. This means that threat of disruption and long-lasting bitterness is avoided. Blood refers to words and acts that emotionally wound. As when we brandish the white light of truth as a sword, we need to realize that truth is never a harsh cutting white light, but the yellow light of moderation. When our understanding departs from modesty and moderation it departs from truth. Saying too much in a state of emotional heat resembles the effect of an atom blast. The fallout is poisonous and contaminates the relationship for a long time thereafter. Then, instead of dealing with the person, we can only deal with the fallout. Changing line number 5. If you are sincere and loyalty attached, you are rich in your neighbor. The sage is trustworthy, being wholly directed to what is true and good. He cannot respond to what is untrustworthy. The sage is trustworthy, being wholly directed to do what is true and good. He cannot respond to what is unworthy in us. When we are sincere in trying to do what is right, he shares his great wealth with us in the form of a friendly presence, reinforcing us in times of trouble and giving us a sense of protection and well-being that is sorely missed when we stray from our path. When we are sincerely attached to our principles, we bring out the best in other people. This inner truth has the power to do the work of correcting all situations. All the communications are inner ones, emanating from the strength of accepting things exactly as they are, and from being utterly at peace within oneself. Loyalty attached also means being wedded to conscientiously seeking the correct way and not turning this responsibility over to others. We must do our own work and not look to others to do it for us. If we have labored hard all our lives to save money, we are not then meant to abandon ship by lightly turning it over to someone else to manage. Just because we are tired of responsibility. Loyally attached means that we remain with responsibilities entrusted to us to share our wealth instead of hoarding it, means to remember how we have been helped. If we regard ourselves as better than another, the gained wealth is hoarded and modesty lost. To be rich yet remain modest is to be devoted. Only then are we rich in our neighbors who do not feel overshadowed. When we are taught by the sage, we must become more modest and conscientious, not less. Shall we overshadow the sage who is invincible? Shall we obscure the sage with our wrong actions? Changing line number 6. The rain comes, there is rest. This is due to lasting effect of character. If the superior man persists, misfortune comes. Victory has been won by persevering in a firm, correct attitude. However, it is partial victory, not one founded on the slowly penetrating light of inner truth, or on a thorough understanding that secures us from reversals. If we can retain our modesty and humility, sacrificing any sense of power, we may feel our gains will be consolidated. This ends hexagram number 9.